So I recently just got to experience my first Rivian Service Center. Up to this point, I always had Rivian come to my house and they did all of the work in my driveway. So this was the first time I got to experience the actual service center. They opened up a brand new, they call customer facing service center in Gatesburg, Maryland, which is about 2 hours from me. And it took me 9 days and 4 hours to get my truck back. Let's get into it. So I have some notes here I want to go through. 9 days, 4 hours, it may seem like a huge deal. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad. There's a little bit of pros and cons with the whole experience. I'm gonna walk through that with you now. So, new service center, like I said, Gatesburg, Maryland. It's about 2 hours from my home. Not a huge ordeal. When I was working with them on the phone about getting my recall done for my Rivian, I said I don't wanna drive to Brooklyn. So they were gonna actually bring a flatbed to my house, pick up my truck and take it to Brooklyn. And then I hit the time frame perfectly because they opened up the Maryland location at the beginning of the month, so it all worked out perfectly. It's obviously a lot closer to me than Brooklyn, and getting to Brooklyn would just be a nightmare, and I didn't want to have to really deal with that. So the check-in process was really great. I drove down, I actually had a time block that was later in the morning, around 10. I wanted to get it down there and get back faster, more from a work perspective. So I just drove down early in the morning. They opened, I think, at 8:30. I got there around 8:45, and I was able to check my truck in. It was absolutely no issue. So the check-in process, they were all very helpful. They had people always facing, coming out, asking if I need anything. Right when I walked in, somebody was there to help me. That was really all pretty seamless. And then what was really cool is once I dropped my truck off, obviously there's no Rivians available for you to take a loaner because all of the new Rivians are going to customers. So they had an entire process set up with Enterprise. They had an Uber logged in for me. They said, "Are you ready to head to Enterprise?" They called me an Uber, and it came and picked me up and took me over to Enterprise. So I was able to get a rental car for the entire week. They didn't put me in some small compact either. I had an SUV, which was nice. That Enterprise experience was really easy. It was only probably 5 minutes from the actual Rivian Service Center. And they had a $100, incidental charge that was held on my credit card, but got pulled off as soon as I brought the car back with no issue. So that was great. So once again, SUV wasn't a super compact car. I was a little worried about that because I actually had to use the back of the SUV for some space for things I had to get done during the week. But the Uber to Enterprise whole process, really simple. So it went in, like I said, it took me 9 days and 4 hours, and I'll explain why the 9 days, 4 hours. So they told me there it's between 7 and 10 days to get the recall done, and I also wanted an alignment done. So they let everybody know that. So it's 7 to 10 days, they hit right within the mark, not a huge ordeal. Just there was a bit of confusion during the process of the service center, which is what I want to go through. There's no main number to the actual service center. So when you want to get a hold of them, you actually have to use the service center customer service number on the Rivian app or on the Rivian website. They call them, they reach out to the service center. If no one picks up, they leave them a message and the service center will call you back. That worked fine. So you don't usually get them on the first try. They usually have to leave them a voicemail, but they got back to me within a couple of hours. It wasn't terribly long, and it wasn't super annoying to me either. So, but remember, there's no real main. When you call the main number on Google for the Gatesburg, Maryland, it goes to some random number, and the person said they've been getting Rivian calls all the time. So whatever's on Google isn't real. Just go through the customer service app to reach the Rivian specifically. So weird thing with my truck tires, I had a situation where they sent me a quote for 4 new tires and alignment. It was like $2,500 to put new tires on my truck and get an alignment done. And I was like, why is this so expensive? And why do I need tires? I knew I didn't need tires. I still have probably 40–50% tread left. So I called the Rivian Center. They pulled up my work order, and they got a hold of the service center. Service center called me back and said, confusion, another white Rivian right next to you. We got confused on which one was which I thought was a little strange. But I guess it can happen. It's a new service center trying to work out the kinks. Wasn't a huge ordeal. I wasn't out of money, anything. And I told them I don't need tires anyway. I kind of knew going in. But if you're not aware of kind of the condition of your truck, just be aware that make sure you're checking the work orders and checking the things in those to make sure they're accurate, because they are still working the kinks out of their process. Not a huge ordeal. So I did get the alignment done. The alignment was $260. The alignment process actually takes a while. So they had my truck up and then wasn't perfect, had it up, wasn't perfect. So they really dialed that in, because I guess the alignment on these things is actually quite difficult. And they gave me a whole sheet on the alignment specs pre and after, and the kind of the parameters that they'd like to get it in. So it is perfect now. I had a little bit of a pull to the right, and that's all gone now, and it's running amazing. It's actually the alignment they said took the longest part. So it was very strange because I needed my truck back. So I waited the 9 days and I needed the truck back on the Friday, kind of after, and because I needed it for the weekend. So I actually went down there early in the morning. I called them and the guy said, I'll have your truck done on Friday. No problem, you'll have it back for the weekend. They didn't really give me a time frame. So I headed down to the Rivian Service Center actually early. And then I had to wait 4 hours from when I was actually in the service center to when my truck was done. That whole thing was a bit odd to me. I walked in, let them know my name. That person never came back to me. I had another person ask me my name and said they would check on it. That person also, so it was like, it was a little bit of avoidance. I'm not sure why. They could have just said, hey, it's gonna be a couple of hours. I did have a person come back and say, hey, we're getting there. It should be about an hour and a half left. So I went in there fully knowing I was probably going to be waiting. So I had my laptop, I had stuff to do, I was getting work done, I was doing emails. So it wasn't a huge ordeal. It just felt there was a little bit of like, I don't want to deal, I don't want to give bad news. That was really the only hiccup that I was kind of annoyed with, is just like, come and tell me it's going to be a couple hours, not a big deal. And then, like I said, I waited 4 hours in the actual service center. But during that time, I got to observe the customer service, and it's very good. As soon as someone walks in the door, someone's asking them what they have, who they are, what they need. They're rushing outside, getting the specs of the car, checking the service, checking what they want. So that customer-facing process was really good. And the people were very helpful. I was the one waiting there for a super long time, so I got to see all the interactions. The interactions overall were excellent. It's not like a normal shop. It's more like a tech experience, right? Which is kind of what it is, because the trucks are crazy computerized. Anyway, so 9 days to 4 hours. The 4 hours was me actually sitting in the service center, seeing all the interactions, and that was cool. Like I said, everyone was really helpful. They did have level 3 chargers to give the truck charge as well. So the normal process is they finish all of your work, they wash the truck, and they charge it up. Now, because I was waiting, and I was waiting there a long time, they wanted to get me out of there. So one, I told them I didn't want it washed because I have a ceramic coating and it has to be washed a specific way, so I didn't want them washing anyway. But they hand wash all the vehicles. They don't just run it through a car wash. They actually hand wash it, which is pretty amazing. They also vacuum and stuff the inside. They did wipe down and everything on the inside, and there wasn't really any problems. And they also will top your charge off, which was pretty great. So they did have me on a charger as well, just to juice me up, because they knew the distance I had to go home. So all that stuff is very thoughtful, which is really amazing to think about, because you're not going to get that kind of service at your normal service center. So I was very happy with that. The payment comes right off whatever card you have on your app. So make sure you have a payment method on the app. They pull the work order amount right off your credit card that's linked to your Rivian app account. And I would say overall the experience is a 7 out of 10. One, they were very helpful. Had a little bit of a hiccup with no one wanting to tell me I was going to wait 4 hours. It's fine, I had lots to do. I was prepared. Whenever you go to an auto place, I prepare for many hours anyway, so I had my laptop and lots of stuff to do. So that wasn't a huge ordeal. Little shaky with the work order, wrong truck. That kind of put me off a little bit. I kind of knew what state my truck was in, so it wasn't a huge deal. But just letting you know, watch out for the work order. They're very helpful. When you get your vehicle back, if you wait until it's actually done and don't kind of get early, and I did force the issue a bit because I needed it for the weekend, they will clean your car, hand wash your car, clean out the inside, and have it charged ready, which is a really great experience. So overall, thumbs up. They didn't have any gear in the shop in Gatesburg, which I was a little disappointed in. I was looking to maybe get some odd things that I couldn't get online, or if they had anything available. Other than that, basic room. But yeah, 7 out of 10 experience. 9 days, 4 hours, recall, replacement, and alignment. A little bit longer, brand new location. People were coming from Virginia, coming from Maryland, coming from Pennsylvania. There was all kind of Rivians with plates all over the place, which you understand because it's the newest service center. So I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, leave them down below, but I will catch you on the next one.